the screen. I'll fix that. Yes. So unlearn with transform. It's a concept which we came because I saw a lot of finance professionals and finance students. They were probably chartered accountants or they were chartered accountancy students. And after completing their CA or before completing their CA, there was somewhere a need of pursuing an additional degree or additional course, or learning something new that can fetch them better opportunities. So the concept of ki CA hi kafi hai, this concept was something that we needed to unlearn, and hence we came up with this series which is called Unlearn with Transform. Coming to the next slide, I'll give you a brief introduction of who I am. I am a chartered accountant by my profession, and I started my journey of mentoring around 3 to 4 months ago. And since then, I've been in touch with 50 professionals and more than 300 students. And I was simultaneously working in EY, but I recently left my job there. I've worked in EY for 1.5 years. I'm also a motivational speaker and presenter. I regularly create content on LinkedIn. I have over 7,000 connections. It's been a journey of 3 to 4 months on LinkedIn for me. And for the love of writing that I have, I'm also a blogger and a storyteller. So I know most of you were aware of who I am, and you have somehow crossed paths with me, and we have met each other, or we have talked to each other. Now, coming to the main questions that we have. Should I continue to study after CA? I mean, this applies to freshers as well as experienced professionals. If yes, which course should I go for? How much cost will be associated with each course? And how much time and effort it will require? Also, a very major question that emerges is, can I continue this course while working in a job? So, to answer all these questions, there are a few factors that you need to consider first. So, one thing that you need to understand is that nobody can tell you which course to go for. We are already done with ACCA and CPA webinars, and I will highlight this again, that based on your interests and whatever you have thought for yourself, as whatever you see as your long term goal, aligned to that, you will determine what course is the best for you. But how to reach there and making an informed decision, that is what I'm here for, to help you out with. Now, before venturing into hows, let's venture into whys. Not how to do a course. I mean, how do I apply and how do I register and how do I give the exams? Before that, first learn about the whys. Are you going for a course before because you want to do it and not because someone else has influenced you on it? Are you going for a course because you want it and not because it is fancy or offers lucrative opportunities? Is this a course that you're going for commensurate with your long term goals? Or are you someone who just wants to keep learning no matter how difficult it gets? These are the questions you need to answer when you decide to pursue an additional degree. It could be an international degree or a domestic degree. And if the answer of any one of these questions also is yes, then you need to go for, the reasons could be various. It could be a qualification for a desirable work profile that you want. It could be just because you want to keep learning and growing professionally. It could be that you have a knack for some course, or simply you want to grow internationally. If these are the reasons that you want to go for a course and not under peer pressure or just because it is fancy, then it's a good enough opportunity for you to pursue. All right, coming to CFA as a course. Now, first we will analyze and see what kind of course and curriculum CFA has, what kind of levels are there, how much preparation you will need, and then we'll talk about is if it is a fitting course for you to pursue. Before that, can you please quickly tell me in the chat, can you hear me and see me properly? Okay, great. Okay, so let's begin with the topic that we have for today, which is CFA. Coming to when to go for it. Okay, CFA as a degree. Now, you have to understand that somewhere chartered accountants feel that CFA is a degree that will complement them professionally, which is not true because there is a fundamental difference that lies in the ideology of both the degrees. All right. Now, chartered accountants make and audit financial statements, but CFAs are people who use these financial statements as investors or as stakeholders, right? So, people who are using these financial statements are the investors, and this is who chartered accountants are making those financial statements or auditing them for. CAs who get into CFA, they definitely have an upper hand in knowing the fundamentals of financial statements, because the kind of technical and analytical skills you have reading the financial statements, knowing the law, knowing the regulation, and having expertise at multitasking, doing multiple things together, these are the things that will be required. So definitely people who get from CA to CFA have an upper hand to some level, but you have to understand that the basic ideology, CFA is a language of finance, and CA will be language of accounts, right? This will not be the same. So when you are thinking of making a shift from chartered accountancy to CFA, now this is obviously applicable to everyone who's pursuing CA or who is a CA here. For those who are not from the CA course, no problem. I mean, you can still understand what CFA is, right? But somewhere in CA's mind, this thing has been fed that okay, you आपको गलती निकालनी है. Financial statements आप जैसे ही देखते हो ना, so you start looking for mistakes. You start looking where the accounting standards have not been followed. You start looking कि what regulations have not been followed. But this is not what a CFA will do. So the shift from this mindset to that mindset, it will be huge, and you will have to make yourself accustomed to that. Chartered accountants somewhere have a fixed path to some extent. We know what regulations to follow. We have a prescribed set of financial statements कि यही presentation करना है, right? We cannot deviate from it. There are somewhere predetermined regulations and compliances. But CFAs are involved in a craft career. When I say a craft career, what I mean, it's more of a skill based career, right? Where the skill of reading financials and stocks, it's learned, it's practiced, and it's mastered over time. So, of course, experience is very critical here, but you will not have a fixed path to follow. All right, so you need to really understand that the kind of roles that post CFA level 3 and after having the charter you can expect for yourself would be valuations, equity or portfolio analyst, fund and treasury management, and various investment banking roles. Now, of course, the benefit will be that CFA is a global degree. It's a US based degree. It has global acceptance in all parts of the world, and there are millions of people who are, appearing for it. So once you fetch that, you have an international credibility to your name attached. Coming to the curriculum and difficulty level. Now, there are three levels in CFA. The minimum time required to complete it would be around 3 years, and it could be 2.5 years as well, based on when you are giving your exam, December or June. But somewhere 3 years is something that you should keep in mind if you qualify every attempt in the first time, of course. Now, yes, one very important point that people ask and they are curious about is that, to get after qualifying CFA level 3, the next step is to get CFA charter. And before you get the charter, you have to have 4 years of work experience for getting that charter. So, for being called a CFA charter holder, you need 4 years of work experience. Now, articleship experience, will it be counted as work experience? Sadly and unfortunately, the answer is no. All right. Of course, professional experience which pertains to the kind of areas that you have worked in CFA subjects that will be counted as work experience, but articleship, it is not counted as work experience, and for the right reasons, because most of the CA articles work in departments such as auditing, direct taxation, indirect taxation. So it's more of a compliance based role. But when you come to CFA as a course, it is more of a research, the roles are more research oriented. So somewhere the kind of work that you've done there, it cannot be counted as work experience in CFA, because it's not relevant to the degree. So it's rightly not counted there. If you see, I've listed down the 10 subjects that are a part of CFA curriculum in level 1, level 2, and level 3. If you want, you can screenshot this slide, and I'll give you a little brief about all the levels here. Now, for a person who's a BCom graduate, somewhat okay, you are aware of the subjects, but for us, for someone who's qualified CA final, you have a pretty good hang of most of the subjects that are here. All right, so corporate finance, financial reporting and analysis, equity investments, fixed income, derivatives, portfolio management. These are the subjects you've somewhere already dealt in CA final, right? So level 1, I would say, is comparatively easier for a person who's given CA final or who has already prepared for CA final. Even if you've not cleared the exams but you've already prepared, CFA level 1 would not be that big of a deal to you. The questions are 120 plus 120. There is an AM and PM schedule when you give the exam. So 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening, you have to appear for the exam. All are MCQ based. And you know what's the best part about this exam? That even in a MCQ based paper, there is nothing called negative marking. So if you, like it happens in CA, that you know, in CA Foundation earlier, there was an MCQ based structure, and there was negative marking on the wrong answers because there could be only one right answer. This is not the case in CFA, and Siddharth will definitely elaborate more on this because he's much more well versed with this, that why they don't give negative marking and what it signifies, right? Then level 2 is supposed to be the toughest of all levels because it is very analytical and you need humongous practice when you appear for level 2. It is also MCQ based. You'll need to have a lot of practice on the CFA calculator, and that is a different calculator than the one that we use in general or in CA. So of course, you'll need a lot of practice and a lot of analytical skills. They will be built by the, you know, curriculum as you study more and more and as you practice more and more. I just close this so that there is no noise. Now coming to level 3. Level 3 is somewhere more about how to fit all the kinds of investments that you've learned into a portfolio for the objective of risk management. Okay, so this is not something, so level 2 and level 3 both. When I say that they are tough and they are very analytical, I mean that this is not something that you can only crack by having theoretical knowledge. So you're someone who's working in a job which is primarily, say, an audit department, all right? You're working in audit, you've cracked level 1, and now you're coming to level 2. And you're just practicing more of audit and you're studying theoretically. Somewhere there will be a lack in your preparation because you have not practiced these things in real. All right, these analytical skills, like I mentioned in my previous slide, if you see here, that the more experience you have in hand for these subjects, the more you will excel at it. And this is a completely experience driven career, I would say. So it's very important for you to work in the similar department or a similar line to understand that, you know, what this will entail. Now, coming to the next slide, which is time and effort required, and can it be pursued along with a job? The answer would be yes. Level 1, definitely. So, for a CA finalist, I would say that you need 10 days preparation if you've already done the curriculum of CA and you're giving the exams within 6 months or 1 year of clearing CA or studying the CA curriculum. yes, it can be managed, but somehow 7 to 10 days of detailed studies would be required, because you, like I said, it requires a lot of practice. Even level 1 requires a lot of practice. You cannot appear for it without practice on just on theoretical knowledge. So yes, it can be cleared with a job, but you need 10 to 12 days of preparation at least. Now what about level 2? Now level 2, if you are in a job already and if you are trying to make that shift, 6 to 9 months of preparation would be fine. If you put in like a couple of hours daily, or if you put in like what 7 to 8 hours on weekends, it would be okay. But again, like as dedicatedly as you study for CA IPCC or CA final, there would be dedicated practice required here, and 1 month of absolute dedicated practice is must for you to sail in the exam. All right. Coming to now level 3, with a job you can manage again. This is the same kind of structure you will require, more of practical exposure if you can get it, you know, and couple of hours of daily preparation plus 1 month of dedicated studies. 1 to 2 months also, I think 2 months is also a good time to take leave and study for CFA level 3. It would be sufficient for you to clear the exam, but along with that, again, practice is very important. All right. Now, these are the exams which will expect you to hold versatile knowledge. Economics will be there, and economics, if you go through the curriculum, it is basic 12th standard economics, right? So, the same kind of economics that you studied in 12th standard will be there in CFA level 1. So, from basic economics to complicated application in level 3, you really need a neck for this course. Now, you really need a neck for this course. What do I mean by that? Okay, what is my next? Let me see. I think we will be shortly coming to the, okay, standalone or with MBA. Okay, so before coming there, I just want to discuss one quick thing, that what happens is people are, especially chartered accountants right now, are looking forward to CFA as a degree, as an additional qualification that they would like to get, but they don't really have any purpose of going after it. The purpose is just as shallow as, you know, a better package might come along their way, or they do not like working in audit or tax, and this is why they are trying to shift towards CFA, or they are thinking of having any other degree. Now this is not a sufficient reason for you to pursue CFA, because you might be able to clear level 1 and maybe even with rigorous practice level 2 with that purpose in mind. But when you come to level 3, there will be so much application and so much, you can say, you require a knack for it, that if you don't have interest in those subjects, it will be impossible for you to clear, right? So I will be giving you 3 to 4 hacks on how to discover that whether you have passion for this course, and whether you really want to go after it for the knowledge, or if you're just chasing it out of peer pressure, or just because, you know, you think that it will fetch you a better package. All right. Coming to standalone or with MBA. Now you need to understand one thing, that MBA in finance, no matter what course you take, an MBA is a full-time course. You spend your time in the college, you network with people, you attend your classes, you interact with the faculties, you do assignments, you are there for presentations, you have probably given over 1,000 presentations in 2 years, you are used to multitasking. So all of these things combined, they cannot be equated with a course that is professional. And what I mean by professional is for chartered accountancy, for that matter, or CFA for that matter. Somewhere it is just a course, professional course, that you're pursuing on a, you know, more of a distance learning basis. You're not really physically present there for that course. The kind of perks that you avail here will not be equal here. Please understand that. You cannot expect a lot in monetary terms. So just like a CA fresher can fetch up to 8 to 10 lakhs, and your package kind of increases as you level up in your organization. Similarly, a CFA fresher can pursue CFA, but as a fresher, and as a fresher I mean after level 3, they will be able to fetch 8 to 10 lakhs. All right. So chasing this degree for the money, not worth it. Post level 4, that means post earning the charter of 4 years experience, a lot of avenues open for you. It is a stressful industry, and research is very much important here before you get into this. By research, I mean analyzing yourself and analyzing the industry, whether you want to go for it after considering all the factors or not. Now, it's a very experience driven career. As you keep gaining experience in the relevant field, you keep climbing up the ladder higher, right? Very deep and passionate knowledge is required for economics, finance, markets, and that's the only way to go forward. A CFA will still lack in people skills than an MBA, so you cannot expect an equal pay or position, right? An MBA in finance has better skills and better knowledge and better presentation also than you. So I will not say better knowledge because CFA is very packed in terms of knowledge, but yes, definitely the skills that an MBA will have will not be there in a CFA, and this is where it is wrong to compare both the degrees in terms of pay or position. Again, MBA will be more likely to get into managerial positions directly, unlike a CFA. Now, what is passion? When I talk about passion for this course or for this industry, you need to give yourself 3 to 6 months to check for yourself and then make the decision, because CFA is an expensive course in terms of Indian rupees, and you don't want to invest in it without knowing for sure that, yeah, okay, this is something that I really want to pursue and I want to complete it if I start. All right. So if, yes, so the first thing that I will suggest you to do is go through any business newspaper every day. So it could be Business Standard, it could be the Economic Times, but you need to keep updated with the economy and with the markets. That is extremely, extremely important. If the newspaper bores you, then you need to reassess whether you really want this degree, want to go for this degree or not. First thing. Second thing, you need to keep watching and have an interest in business channels as well. So channels like CNBC, or there's a Z News channel which is primarily for stocks. These are really great channels if you want to keep yourself updated with the news of stocks. This is very important for you because in this curriculum of CFA, you will be required to learn and understand about how to read the stocks and how to read the financials of different stocks, of different companies, I mean. So it's very important that you yourself adapt yourself to that skill, and by watching more, you will be able to learn more. The second thing is that. The third thing that I suggest is that invest your own money. It could be 5,000, it could be as low as 2,000, it could be 10,000, it could be 1 lakh. Whatever is your capability, invest your own money. Unless you invest your own money in the markets, the real lessons do not come to you, because you won't be able to have a mock portfolio and get the real lessons, or you won't be able to learn from others' mistakes in this particular field. So these three things: reading a business newspaper, watching a business channel, and keeping yourself updated with the stocks by investing in yourself. If you can do this continuously and consistently for 3 to 6 months, then maybe you are prepared to analyze for yourself that, okay, now I am in a position to determine whether to go for CFA or not. This will determine the passion that you have. Now, two things people will require when they interview you for positions like research analyst, equity analyst, or debt analyst. It will be either experience, or the second, it would be passion. So if you're not coming from an experience background, then you need to have that passion, and I think any interviewer who is skilled enough will be able to see that passion in you in the first round itself. So yes. Now coming to our last segment, it's already 6:25. Associated cost. Yes. So in CFA, when you register, what happens is there are three kinds of fees. There's an early registration fees, which if you register before 9 months of a level, you pay a concessional fees. There's a standard registration fees, which is valid for 6 months before an exam, and late registration fees, which is valid till the exam. right? So 700 US dollars, 1000 US dollars, and 1450 US dollars. For more or less all the three levels, the fees is almost the same. The total fees which will come, the registration fees and fees for each level, it would be 34,000 for registration, considering that the dollar is 75 rupees, which currently it is not. It is definitely higher than that. So you can say 35,000 or 36,000 comparatively. And the fees for each level could go up to 60,000 rupees if you register early. So early bird discount if you avail, if you register before 9 months of the exam, then it is applicable for you and you will end up paying what, around 60,000. The level 1 registration, if you are enrolling for the first time, then the total fees would be coming up to 60,000, 70,000 if you go for early bird. If you go for the standard registration, it could go up to 90,000. And late registration could go up to 1,20,000 or 1,30,000. Coaching fees, if you're a CA student or a CA finalist or a chartered accountant already, you don't need to enroll for level 1 coaching. You can well prepare it by the help of YouTube and free resources that are out there. But yes, level 2 and level 3, because I talked about the change of the mindset, that from a CA mindset you need to go to a CFA mindset, it is important that you enroll for a coaching. What you should see and when you should pursue CFA, it should be deep, undying passion and interest in markets and finance. And if you're not sure, I have given you 3 methods to do it. Test it for yourself. Coming to common queries for CFA, what I think I'll let Siddharth take this. Siddharth, you can come now. Siddharth, can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. I can't see you though.
Yeah. Yeah, Bhavna, I can hear you. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
you're audible.
Am I visible too?
Now you're visible, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, great presentation, Bhavna. You almost cover all the points. I'll just give a brief introduction about myself. I am a level 3 candidate, and so about CFA given. I mean, like, though first we'll talk about the difference between the CFA and a CA. I mean, like, so what CFA is a golden standard in investment finance, and it's like golden investment finance, equity research, wealth management, and it's you get this global exposure. Comparing it with a CA is is a professional degree. It's more driven towards making of the financial statements, and whereas CFA is more driven utilizing that financial resources to take a decision on an investment purpose on for that matter. I mean, if you compare a CA, I mean, like getting a CA done, you get this authority to sign. And like your sign is as much as valuable as another CA and any another CA that gives you that power of getting this high package. If you associate, that 8-10 lakhs package or 6 lakh package, that bracket, that becoming a CA, you get that kind of package. But when we come to CFA, it's the quality of the knowledge that gives CFA is like it's a standard, and it's uncomparable, and it's a niche quality of knowledge that you get in a CFA that you won't get in any finance degree and any other degree. That's why it's that's so renowned and things like that. Given that you are a CA and going for a CFA, you have to understand this. There will be a for the package thing, there will be a limit to your package. Theory and degrees and everything, but he has to practice it over the years of like 6 7 8 years over the years, because health is as important as wealth, and so is the market of wealth. So given you don't have an experience of managing someone's wealth, you cannot pursue it over it. So like you have to have this experience of 7 years of a market cycle when you do like CFA. Then only you will be given with the sum of money to invest like 5 20 25 lakhs or a crore rupee. People won't risk it with anyone who has just a knowledge. That's why the skill requirement and a 4 years of experience here matters the most. Coming back to the, I mean, like structure of a CFA, it's like level 1, level 2, and level 3, as you all know, and 4 years experience. Level 1 has like an AM and a PM set. This is very unusual to the given exams we know in India. I mean, like, this is an MCQ based. There is no negative marking. Why there is an AM paper, PM paper, a 1 day paper only? There is no different 10 papers of 10 topics. I mean, like, you have to understand this CFA. I mean, like, there is a AM paper. If you have like messed up with a AM paper and you give on the PM paper, you have this agility of mind that you are very comfortable with the thing. And say like an investment, if you are making and making money for a client in the morning and things went wrong in the morning, and by the time the evening you are able to maintain that. I mean, like, that kind of agility of mind they are taking in, given to the negative marking. Like in practice, the CFA Institute is very thoughtful about it. And the why they have not given the negative marking, it's like CFA Institute values your instinct. Like in actual life, there are certain situations like when you just go through a thing and you know just this is the right thing. I mean, like, out of the three options, and CFA Institute values that if it's possible in life, to, then it's possible in exam as well. So you are able to mark the question. If they give you this option, if you have this instinct, you read the question and you mark it. There's no negative marking. You get the mark. These things happen. There is no scores given in the exam post results. You have been given the average performance you are and the two standard deviation of your performances. There is no scoring. I mean, like, the module, the everything, the curriculum changes in every 40% curriculum changes in every 2 years. I mean, like, it's related to the market. It's very linked to the markets and what kind of knowledge the industry is seeking, and you're given through that. Okay. And I think if I'm ready for the queries if anybody like raising their hand. And so
I'll just quickly first take the common queries that we get usually. We already talked about कि CAs और CFA के mentality में क्या difference होता है, right? Now let's talk about कि CFA level 1 और level 2 के बाद. So एक chartered accountant ने अगर level 1 या level 2 दिया है, should they be expecting a huge raise in their pay or something like, you know, a profile which is absolutely new for them?
Okay, as I already mentioned,
yes,
the added advantage of doing a CA is when you're done with your chartered accountancy, you get this authority of signing the audit papers. I mean, like, these things come into the compliance thing. Your sign is as much valuable as any other chartered accountant. If a regulator or any other investment purpose is required to have this thing audited, and if it's the I mean, like, the difference really doesn't matter for a majority of the audits you've done. That if it's signed by one audit or another auditor, the audit is done. It's like on a par level. But given the investment finance, you have to make the money for the people. It's like an operation. The patient has to come like overcome the disease over that. If you're not making the money, and nobody is going to give you money with only the theoretical knowledge, you have to have that knowledge. Unless you have done with the things, you are very thorough with the things, you have to have this experience. The ladder of a CFA Institute is much I mean, like, the ladder is much bigger, but initially you have to start it small. You have to learn things, you have to practice things. It's a craft. I mean, like, you do it by doing it. Having a knowledge in an asset class, say I'll give you an example. There's an analyst who is giving a buy rating of Reliance for 2000 and a sell rating at 1000 level. Both prices will come over a period. I mean, like, either ways the guys are making money. I mean, like, by giving a call, you have, I mean, like, the valuation tools and techniques, there are certain things you measure the cash flows. These cash flows will be measured and you will value a company. But how this okay, so how your target will achieve or not, this is very, I mean, like, this takes experience. This takes understanding the bigger picture, and it takes time. It's at least takes a time of one I mean, like, business cycle that's around 7 to 8 years. You have to have this, the peak, bottom, markets up, down, momentum, everything. And it's not related to a particular topic of asset class. I mean, like, you are making money. It's not like you're just investing into assets. It's related to a bond market. It's related to a commodity market. I mean, like the company you're using will be dealing in the commodity market. It's with the real estate market, and it's all conclusive. And that's why the all the 10 topics of a CFA comes into a package of a one paper. And the same 10 topics come in the morning exam and the evening exam. There's no different that 5 topics come in the morning and the evening. That's, you have to compile all the things and make the decision, and you have to go through that. And even
Right.
in, if you're an equity researcher, like you don't have this thing towards ki I'm I know asset classes and I'm a finance guy. You have to know the medical business, like the thing about hydrochloroquine and who's making it. I mean, like, you have to understand its effect. The auto companies, the tech companies, the gaming companies, these guys are doing into business, and you have to understand the basic business they are doing. And there's no limit ki like you can be a sector specific analyst, but your knowledge and comprehensiveness has to be there, and you cannot be the only finance guy who's doing it. You have a broader picture about everything, and for that you have this deep down passion towards it on an ongoing consistent basis. And yeah, you do start with level 1, and you start with your experience, internship, whatever you get, and you learn it. And after the 4 years done, then you are allowed to write this CFA initials after your name. You get this starter degree after that, and that's why it's valuable. And it's the knowledge, I will say it's very niche and very quality content you will read in the CFA content. And it's a global degree. And there is a difference between the, like, thinking analogy between the chartered accountant and CFA. They're more into doing what the regulator says, but you have to read between the lines. I mean, like, if a ratio of a debtors is given, you will be more inclined towards what the accounting standards are saying, and how much should be the ratios of debtors, and what is the percentage of debtors account to the asset classes. But actually what the market is telling, how can the defaults can happen, what is the asset quality, that thing you will learn from the market. And these theory concepts, I mean, like, you have to learn it, but over the time you realize is that there is a far reality between both of them.
Right. Okay, I think you beautifully answered एक तो वो चीज that why they don't give negative marking, because they value your insight, they value what your intuition says, because that is what you will ultimately use in the job as well. That part, and then that part where you talked about how you cannot be sector specific. You have to have an open mind to understand the complete domain or the complete industry for that matter. क्योंकि आपको जब भी आप बिजनेस में जाओगे और you start working in a profile like this, you will need to understand what any kind of business that comes your way. फिर उसका analysis करके you will have to go forward with recommending them. So yes, you beautifully pointed out that. Now let me go with another query that we got. Okay, I'm not taking any personal questions right now. Can you give a brief comparison of FRA and CFA? Sorry, FRM and CFA.
FRM, okay. CFA is more about the diverse equity side of it, and like how you go with investment. The level 1 talks about the tools and concept. What are the tools and concept? You have this brief introduction about every topic. The level 2 deals with how you gonna use these tools and techniques. You have very in-depth. Level 2 is the most toughest level of all the 3 levels. And level 3 comes of the portfolio management. The majority of your dealing, you have understood all the asset classes and the behavioral finance issues, the ethical issues, and now you are compiling it all together in a combined portfolio. I mean, like, we can talk about individual stocks, but a person is invested into a portfolio. The risk of a portfolio, the return of a portfolio overall has to be considered. Say you have this investment in 2 to 3 stocks that are giving you 100% return over there. That's not an realistic scenario, but still, majority of your portfolio is falling. So the combining, how you deal with the things, what asset classes you should include, like the equity markets are going down, so how much of the gold you should have, a commodity exposure you should have in your portfolio, what other asset classes, and like real estate and everything, your bigger portfolio.
Okay,
so
great.
what was could you please repeat the question? I mean, like
FRM or CFA का comparison.
okay. Okay, FRM. And FRM is more directed towards managing the particular risk. It's about if you're managing a portfolio, how the banks and the financial institution and the NBFCs, how they have to deal with the risk, the liquidity risk, the market risk, and everything around that. It's more towards risk management, and risk management in itself is a very comprehensive, and it's demands, it's another discipline and another understanding. In CFA, you will be more directed towards investing it, and FRM is you are more inclined towards managing the downside risk. The things don't get down, like you have a limit to your losses and everything, and different kind of risk that can occur. uh, and there are two levels, level 1 and level 2 in FRM, and it's a complementary course to CFA, but I mean, like, it's a complementary course to CFA, and but it's more directed toward risk management of that side, and it's more niche, and it's very like I mean, like, problematic in the
Yes.
sense you have to solve out sums and all that.
You can say it's one level up of CFA.
I mean, like, uh, I think the problematic. I mean, like, what I mean to say is you have to solve the sums, and like it's sum based, and you have to solve the theory subject, basically
Right.
practical subjects.
Okay.
Calculative.
Now,
It's very calculative.
yeah. For those people who are asking queries about investment banking, how to get into investment banking, what are the kind of roles that you would have, and comparison of CFA and MBA finance. So we are having a session on MBA tomorrow as a part of this series. At the same time, 6 the session will start, and we have a separate group for that. I will be circulating the link of that group. If you have not filled out the Google form that I sent out, then please fill it, because we circulate the groups, the links of the groups on those emails, so you'll get the link of the group there as well. Now, a little comparison of CFA and MBA plus routes of getting into investment banking will be discussed tomorrow. So if you want to learn about that, you can come in tomorrow's session. Apart from that, I'll see if we have any more relevant queries. Mm, okay, so
I
those
mean,
of
like,
you who are asking, just a second, Siddharth. Those of you who are asking that you have experience as a chartered accountant in a firm, in articleship and in FR profile, IFRS profile, it will not be considered as your work experience, because the work experience that CFA requires you to have, it is more into CFA related work, research work, analyst work. So it will not be considered as work experience. Yes, Siddharth, please say. You were saying something.
I mean, like, what investment banking, what do you understand by investment bankers is like, these are like the dealers, like some guy wants to buy some stake in a company, and another guy is called, they have to look, they are just given the orders and you have to buy the stake. You're doing mergers and acquisitions overall. I mean, like, so investment banker in itself is a broker. I mean, like, it's a big broker, it's a niche broker who make deals between the bigger guys. I mean, like, from the investment banking is, I think, is a very made up term, and it's a very hyped up, but it's like you are a broker actually. Investment banker is a broker who make the deals between the two bigger guys and have this commission payment. I mean, like, the combination of an MBA who have a very people skill and everything, plus and CFA gives you very the niche skill of finance degree. It's a global and a global I mean, like, global charter and global recognition. It's the quality of knowledge the CFA gives plus then MBA gives you uh, is what makes then a major employability in an I mean, like, investment banking opportunities. When you are a CA and you are more directed towards financials and things like that, you are majorly go towards roles like financial research and equity research. You are more fundamental guy, you have that upper hand in that, you understand these balance sheets and everything. And investment banking, major of the guys come from the science background, if you have to, I mean, like, the figures suggest that. And the CA guys have this very bigger upper hand understanding the financials. You have done the FM and the costing thing, so things relate there. But the approach really matters. You have to change the approach by making it. Then you have to make to understand this, somebody is going to deploy money based on your decision. It will not be the regulatory or the compliance issue. Just you have to submit the things with the audit done. Actually, somebody would be investing I mean, like whatever, like a lakh crore or 10 crore or 10,000, even 10,000 crores based on your set of, I mean, like your decision would be a part of a bigger decision, but yeah,
Right.
your decision matters that, and that's why it's required for that years of experience to get there. And you start with internships and everything. You start accumulating that experiences and understanding the bigger picture, and it take time. And if you're doing an MBA from like not that top 10 or top 15 colleges, your package would be around say like 5-6 lakhs. And there where like a degree of a CFA will help you to boost it up like a 80 or 100% above that. Like from a 5 lakh you can go to 8 lakhs, but if in a CA, if you're already getting 8 lakhs and 10 lakh kind of packages, the CFA, doing a CFA and completing it some kind like limits it to that. I mean, like what kind of experience and words I have with my friends and like elders.
Right. So I think what we can conclude on this basis is that, you know, interest and passion is what you should look for, you know, to chase a career in this kind of a degree, and not just, you know, just that you want to earn more money or you want fancier designations. This is not something that should drive you to go for CFA. CFA is a course which offers huge knowledge, huge learning opportunities. If you have really interest or like passion into economics, markets, finance, then you should go for this kind of a course. I think we're just winding up here. And Siddharth, I want to thank you with all my heart for joining in today. Thank you so much for taking queries so patiently, for sharing your knowledge, your expertise. I just want everyone to unmute for a minute and just give an applause to Siddharth.
Oh, thank you everyone, and thank you,
Thank you,
Bhavna.
sir.
Thank you so much for joining in. Everybody, thank you so much. We are winding up here, and you can join our
That's the
sessions
last
for.
question. I have to last question. If you
I think somebody has this last question. I mean,
Can we take it on the group? Actually, I need to wind up here. The meeting will end on its own otherwise in a minute.
So how to join in the group? Can you please suggest me in the chat box or send in any way to?
Mukul, can you please send the link for the group in the chat? Yeah, so by the time Mukul is sending the link, I want to just wind up this session saying thank you to everyone. And for those who want to continue with the series, we are having MBA tomorrow. We are having alternatives to MBA on Sunday with an IIM Ahmedabad alumni. And post that, we'll be having some other courses as well. So you can join in. We'll be circulating on the group. And yes, Santosh and others whose queries could not be answered here, we can handle them on the group. Thank you, Siddharth, and thank you, everyone. All right. Bye-bye and good night.
thank you.